audience says, "If you don't quit talking like that, we'll hang you." And my father's reply was, "You don't have a rope strong enough in this country to hang me." And I think he meant it sincerely. He was a pretty heavy man.
On April 8th, 1919, Hynek's wife of 20 years died. This photo shows Anna lying in her coffin, probably in the parlor of the Dostal home, located on Nebraska Avenue. Her death certificate lists breast cancer as the cause of death. She is buried in St. Peter and St. Paul Cemetery in St. Louis. The job of caring for the other 6 children fell upon young Ludmilla. Ludmilla was my grandmother. She grew up amid the turmoil of the First World War. In several photographs, she can be seen wearing traditional Czech costumes that were owned by her mother. Hynek often was away on business, and the 20-year-old Ludmilla was forced to carry the burden of raising the children. Later that year, in December of 1919, Hynek, along with his brother Václav, set out for the new Czechoslovakian Republic. The trip was sponsored by the National Catholic War Council. The men were ranked as captains of the United States Army and wore the uniforms during the entire trip. The purpose of the trip was to supply the War Council with information about the condition of the Catholic Church and people in the war-torn European countries. Hynek's brother Václav came to America around 1899 at the age of 7. He then joined Hynek and Joseph in Spillville. He received his elementary education in Spillville and his secondary training at St. Procopius Academy in Lisle, Illinois. He went on to earn his B.A. degree at Loras College in Dubuque in 1914. He then attended St. Mary's Seminary in Baltimore, Maryland, and St. Paul's Seminary in St. Paul, Minnesota. He was ordained on June 12, 1917, by Archbishop John Ireland of St. Paul, and sang his first solemn Mass at Protivin, Iowa, the next day. This is the invitation to the Mass. While in Europe, Hynek delivered more than 100 lectures in only 4 months. He also met with political leaders and attended numerous conferences. The group primarily visited Czechoslovakia, but also made stops in Austria, Italy, and France. While in Czechoslovakia, the Reverend Václav Dostal visited 2 of his sisters, who were serving in the Charity House of the Holy Cross. Sister Emanuela and Sister Ignatius were both teachers and talented musicians. Reverend Dostal wished for his sisters to come to America and help in the education of the Bohemian, Moravian, and Slovakian children. The 2 sisters were enthusiastic because it had been some time since they had seen their mother and siblings in America. On April 12, 1920, the 2 sisters left from Prague and after 4 weeks arrived in America. They both worked at the Hessun orphanage, even though neither one spoke any English. Hynek stayed in Europe for another month, and in May of 1920 he was received in private audience for 1 hour by His Holiness, Pope Benedict XV. They consulted on religious and cultural affairs, such as the relationship between Catholics and the Czechoslovakian government. The entire conversation took place in Latin. Early the next year, on January 31st, 1921, Sister Emanuela died of a brain inflammation. She was buried next to Anna in the St. Peter and St. Paul Cemetery in St. Louis. In 1923, Hynek again was sent to Moravia and on to Volyn, located in western Russia, where he lectured and arranged for the creation of Catholic missionaries. By 1926, his strenuous schedule had taken its toll on his health. He fell seriously ill from an intestinal problem. He can be seen here on the top row on the far left. After several temporary cures, he yielded to the persuasions of his friends and made another trip to Czechoslovakia, where he underwent a successful operation. While he was recovering in the clinic in Brno, he received special recognition from Rome. He received an honorary doctor's degree of letters and was made a corresponding member of the Pontificia Academia Tibernia. After some period of recovery, he moved to Italy. Here he is pictured in conference with His Eminence Peter Cardinal Gaspari and 8 other cardinals. He was present at the laying of the cornerstone of the Czechoslovak Papal College in Rome in May of 1927. His travels then took him through Florence, Milan, Venice, and Prague before returning to America. A newspaper clipping, probably from an Iowa paper, dated February 22, 1925, reports on Hynek's decoration by Pope Pius XI. Hynek was awarded the Pro Pontifice Ecclesia. Another report appeared from Chelsea, Iowa. In 1929, Dr. Dostal returned with a group of pilgrims who were traveling to Czechoslovakia for the 1000th anniversary of the martyrdom of St. Wenceslas. Dr. Dostal had begun a collection of jewels that had been donated by the Bohemian Catholic women in America for the purpose of making a golden crown. The crown weighed 16 pounds and was to adorn the skull of St. Wenceslas. During the ceremonies, the honor of carrying the crown was given to Dr. Dostal. A picture of the crown, seen in the background of this photo, appeared in the September 1993 edition of National Geographic. On April 15, 1930, Hynek Dostal penned a letter. The sisters Emanuela, Paduana, and Azella are dead. Sister Ignatia is in a sanatorium. Her body is not ill, but she is melancholic, does not speak, and can do nothing. We are unable to change anything. God has permitted it. Sister Ignatia went on to live many more years. She died June 15, 1952, in Merrill, Wisconsin. In June of 1928, Dr. Dostal received notification from Pope Pius XI that he had been made a knight in the Order of St. Gregory the Great. It is the highest honor to which a layman in the Catholic Church can attain. It represents a recognition by the Holy Father of special virtue and unusual labors for the Church of God and country. On February 5, 1933, Bishop Kucera of Lincoln, Nebraska, visited St. John Nepomuk to present Dr. Hynek Dostal with the knighthood of St. Gregory from the Holy Father. This St. Louis Globe-Democrat article, dated September 18, 1934, announces yet another award, the Knight of St. George. The years following the war were busy for Hynek Dostal. There was little time for family life. Scenes such as these with the children were rare. Many hard years were spent reconstructing the new Republic of Czechoslovakia. Hynek Dostal remarried. His new wife, Branislava, can be seen on the far right side of the first row. From his humble beginnings in Borschice, he had met many great leaders of his time, and his desire to serve his homeland had finally been realized.